Ta-da.
Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Andy Bryan and today I'm here to provide you all with an insight and obviously with myself an insight as well into astrology, natural health and healing, and also the power of crystals. Over the past few years I've become quite interested in these subjects, and it's a pleasure to have three lovely ladies on the show today to talk more about these subjects. So it's going to be a pleasure. What I will do is say that the show is going to be half an hour today. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show, please make sure to use the hashtag, which you can see at the top there. It's not completely clear, but it does say Holistic Health Live, so please use the hashtag Holistic Health Live, and we'll be sure to answer any questions you may have during the show today. So without further ado, I think it would be a good chance, first of all, to get to know our guests. So I'd like a short intro from each one of you, and I'll go from the left to the right, from where I see it, and I'll go straight to Caroline first, actually. So
Oh,
Caroline, tell me a bit more about yourself and what you do.
well, that sounds like a blind date introduction, doesn't it? For you blind daters out there, my name's Caroline Cousins, and I work as an energy healer, really, a quantum healer, and very much under the tagline of the Transformational Energy Expert. And the work I do, I started briefly. I started my journey, if you like, into the energy world 20 years ago when I started developing as a medium. Then I trained in reflexology, and then over the years developed my abilities more and more, the intuitive side, and trained in hypnotherapy and EFT and transpersonal hypnotherapy and all sorts of things like that, and then went on to train in more quantum healing methods such as theta healing and spiritual response therapy, otherwise known as SRT. And now I combine all of my abilities and skills that I've learned together. So some of the transpersonal hypnosis, some of the theta healing, some of the SRT, and my own intuitive abilities together to provide a healing mechanism which very much works in the quantum field or from the quantum field, or in order to transform that energy. So why do I call myself an expert? I don't really, not really sure about the whether expert gives the right impression or not, but I've become an expert in working with energy in my chosen
I'll
field,
be back in
which
a
is
moment.
why I've called myself the Transformation Energy Expert, and that's basically what I do in a nutshell.
Okay, so we lost you for just a moment, but thanks for the
Oh,
introduction.
oh
We got
dear.
most of it, so that's fantastic. I have to say I've known Caroline for a while, and she's got some fantastic work. So. And what I'll do is hand it over to Jenny now. Tell us a bit more about yourself, Jenny.
Right, thanks Andy. As Andy said, I'm Jenny. I'm Jeni Powell. I'm founder of the Crystal Balance Company, which, as it says in the title, is everything to do with crystals. But rather than the shops that you get that buy and sell crystals and are looking just at the crystals, I'm passionate about the energy of crystals and everything that can bring. So what do I do? Work with energy. Whether that's through crystals, whether it's through healing, so it's crystal therapy, healing, all forms of energy work. Actually manufacture, or I should say create, not manufacture. Here's one I had earlier, it's a bit like Blue Peter here. Energy sprays as well, which are formed from crystals. Like Caroline, yes, I started in mediumship. I'm a Reiki master teacher as well, so we teach forms of energy. And also use crystals and the sprays and the general energy work to clear properties as well. When I said the other day to somebody I was going to clear a property, they asked me where my white van was. I'm like, no, I'm not a white van man that clears properties out. It's actually clearing the energy. So we do that with all forms of properties, whether that's offices, shops, five-star hotels and spas. So it's an amalgamation of things, but I love what I do, and I think I've talked enough now. So back to you, Andy.
Well, thanks. No, again, it's really interesting. I've always been interested in crystals. I have a few crystals with me all the time, which I think
Good.
people around me and use it many different ways. So it's going to be interesting to find out more about your crystal work as well. So we'll move over to Pam now, who is an amazing astrologer. Welcome, Pam. Tell us a bit more about yourself as well.
Thank you very much, Andy. Lovely. Well, as Andy said, I'm an astrologer. I've been involved with astrology now for about 40 years, and have in that time probably studied thousands, probably tens of thousands of charts over that time. And astrology really is a language. I think of it very much as a language because I can feel that same process in my head, whether I'm translating French or astrology. And it's a very deep, mathematical, profound, symbolic language, and quite a sacred language, I think. But it really, the planetary processes for me describe psychological processes in people's lives. And at the moment, the astrology is incredibly strong. There's some very powerful aspects in the heavens, and all the clients coming to see me at the moment, I see that their natal charts are being triggered by these very powerful aspects in the heavens, and depending on which area of life it's affecting in their chart, I'll clearly be able to see the deeper meaning of their experiences. So they may come to me feeling their life is chaotic or unexplained, or they just feel like they're the rubber hitting the road, whereas the astrology is able to give them a deeper meaning, a deeper purpose, and an understanding of those processes to help them move forwards with a greater sense of purpose and clarity. So it's very helpful. It's very helpful in its insights for people. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Pam. And again, with astrology, I've found astrology quite interesting over the past 5-10 years. And you may have seen me like 10 years ago, not maybe taking an interest in astrology, but just meeting you and finding out more about your work has really opened my mind to so many different things about astrology, and it's been interesting to hear about your charts as well. So,
thank you.
Where would be a good place to start? Would be, I think astrology would be a good place to start generally, and ask you, how do you think astrology plays a part in our lives at the moment, and also in the future, in terms of possibly gaining an insight into the future and what we've got to come?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually, because people think of astrology as a psychic or a clairvoyant skill, and it absolutely isn't. I wish I did have those gifts, but as I said earlier, it's very much a language, and I find myself translating geometry and symbolism. So whereas the psychic reading will give you the details of the story externally and describe a lot of detail, astrology doesn't do that, and couldn't do it. So it's very much looking at people from the inside out in terms of their development. So it's very different in that way, and both have their place, and I have huge admiration for all my psychic friends who have those gifts. But what astrology is doing is seeing the unfolding symbolism. Almost if you think of yourself as an acorn unfolding into an oak tree, it's purposeful development which is built into that organic blueprint at birth. So what astrology won't show you are the details of the story, the executional details, but it will very accurately describe the quality of the experience, the symbolism, the timing, because planets stay reliably in their orbits, and the area of life, whether it's health or money or whatever. So in that sense, it can help us live strategically, because if we know what kind of opportunities are going to be coming up, say we've got a really positive career opportunity, maybe that's coming from abroad, and we're alert to that, then I feel strongly we can live life more fully. We can throw ourselves into those opportunities and live a bigger life. We can start to live strategically with a symbolic flow of your chart, rather than just being constantly surprised by life. So for me, it enables you to live strategically and purposefully and more deeply. But it's very different from psychic or clairvoyant readings. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. There's a lot of detail there, but that's very good. I think I remember talking to you before and looking back at a birth chart and saying I was born on a certain day at a certain time, and you can gather a lot of information from that, can't you?
You have everything. I mean, most clients I do, I just know their first name and then date, time, and place of birth. That's all I know. And you can go way back in their lives with dates and qualities of events and timings and equally forwards. And that's what I do all the time. So yes, people do find it surprisingly accurate. Yeah, absolutely.
And now I think it'd be nice to move on to healing as well, and how healing plays a part in our lives. And we've got Caroline here today talking about her work and what she does. And I'd like to find out how natural healing has changed the way we look at, say, medicine or what we do, so we can live a natural and healthy life, whether we've got challenges in life or what that might be.
Well, that's a really broad question. Andy, sorry, it's a very broad question, because natural healing. I mean, as Jeni, although she works with crystals, she's also a natural healer, and in fact, even Pam with the astrology, it's got a profound healing element in it. So much so, and I was just reading before we went live on air, just reading to Pam, one of my clients that I sent to Pam for some astrological work, actually found it immensely healing. The whole process for her. So although it's a very mathematical science, really, and it is a science, astrology there, it has a very profound healing aspect to it as well. And the same with Jeni's work. And to me, they're both very natural as well. It's very, the thing with natural healing is that every healing is natural because it has to come from us first. And no healing is effective unless we first accept it in ourselves at a deep subconscious level. And now there are so many healing modalities coming out, so many new ones coming out that are just getting increasingly effective, and they're happening very much more on a quantum level now. When we talk about quantum stuff, we're talking about treating everything as if it's happening now, and we're covering all dimensions, all layers, all parallel universes, whatever your beliefs are. Quantum healing is very much connecting with the universe and recognizing that the universe is within us, as well as being outside of us, and that we are all that is, and that everything is happening right now. And if you read some of the books like Eckhart Tolle and there's so many authors that they discuss a lot of quantum healing methods, quantum healing and quantum work. Sorry, it's difficult to think. I mean, natural healing now, where's it going now? It's, plant healing's natural healing, energetic healing that I'm doing, Jeni's doing, it's natural healing. But it's just because we're dealing with stuff at a much deeper level now, because we're dealing with it in a much more quantum way, it's becoming much more effective. Because we're getting straight into the subconscious mind, and we're getting into soul level subconscious stuff and subconscious programming now, so we're able to be a lot more effective than, say, we were 20, 30, 40 years ago with more conventional methods. And if you go back 30 or 40 years, what all that was on offer really then was things like counselling. And I'm not putting down counselling, because counselling has its place, and there's a very good healing mechanism in itself, and brings lots of brilliant coping mechanisms and strategies to help people. It's helped so many people, but we can get now into a much deeper level with our work, because we can access the subconscious mind in a much more effective way, in a much easier way than we ever used to before, by some of the tools that are out there now. Some of the tools certainly that I use can go straight into the subconscious mind now so easily, that were unheard of 30 years ago. And the subconscious mind is what's holding all the power. It's operating from, I think it's about 95% of the power is held within the subconscious mind, and the rest of it, the conscious mind has about 5% of it. So if we really want to bring about effective healing and change in our life, then we have to really get in touch with that subconscious part that's running the show there, and make the changes there. And we can do that so easily now with stuff that myself and Jeni does effectively. So it's a bit of a roundabout answer, but it's a big question. There's so many natural healing methods out there, like like natural medicine, like the crystals, the plants, the quantum healing stuff I do, the quantum healing stuff that Jeni does, the healing that comes across with Pam stuff in the science of astrology. There's so many things out there that promote healing in a natural way now that are effective, and I think we just need to get away from some of the conventional stuff. It's not to dismiss the conventional stuff, because everything has its place. Everything is a potential healing mechanism, but it's to work with the conventional stuff and work energetically at the same time, and together, combined, they can produce a very profound healing mechanism for people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think like with conventional medicine, you could say natural medicine and healing has progressed a huge amount along with conventional medicine, and it's amazing what we can do nowadays. We've got some questions that are going to pop up, but I think it would be good to go to Jeni first and find out how crystals play a part in all of this, in terms of what are the power of crystals in terms of healing, and in terms of, I know, like you said, like clearing energies as well.
Okay, thank you, Andy. As Caroline said, actually, healing has been around and known for centuries, but also stones and crystals have as well. I mean, going back to the Egyptian times, when all the pharaohs and kings, or a lot of them anyway, used to put lapis lazuli, which is lazulite and pyrite mixed crystal, in their tombs with them to offer them safe travel to the next world, which Pam probably would be aware of as well with the astrology side of things. The Mayans used to actually use black obsidian to scry on, so that means they look at a piece of flat obsidian, look into that, and look at the future. So it's been around, crystals have been around for ages and ages. But now science is catching up. As Caroline said, quantum physics, quantum entanglement, all of that. So it's bringing everything sort of up to date and bringing everything back together. But there is a science behind crystals as well. Now, I'm not a physicist or anything like that, but everything, as you know, vibrates. Well, I don't know if you do, but it does. I vibrate at a certain, we have a frequency. You all have a frequency. So does my computer, so does the desk. And the thing is, sorry, Caroline's making me laugh now anyway. Even the Earth has its own frequency. It's the Schumann resonance, which is 7.83 Hertz, which Pam's nodding ahead there as well. But crystals are an oscillator, and this is what I was coming to anyway. So crystals allow everything around them to vibrate. It's a frequency from it. Now, crystals have a very specific atomic and geometric structure, which means that they can hold that frequency and it doesn't alter a lot. It stays in place. So their frequency stays the same all the time. Whereas our atomic structure and everything, it's not as precise, so ours fluctuates. I mean, you know, if you walk into a room and someone's had an argument or they're feeling a bit depressed, you'll walk in there and sooner or later their frequency affects you and we feel a little bit down. And that's what happens with us. Our human body, our energetic system, is very easily affected by other people and other things because their energies fluctuate a lot as well. But crystals keep their frequency. So the beauty of crystals is that you can actually have crystals on you or by you, and you will then start, your frequency will entrain with the crystal, so you're at the same frequency. Now you say, well, what does that mean? Well, it does mean that your frequency then is how it should be, it's in harmony with you. So we get good health, well-being, vitality, we're at our optimum. So that briefly is to show that scientifically crystals do work. It's not just one like I have one here. This is like Blue Peter, isn't it? I have everything to hand here without the sticky back plastic. So this crystal is not just, oh, I'm going to hold the crystal and I'll feel lovely and there we go. There's more to it than that. So as I say, they can increase our health. crystals as well, the power of them, I mean, they're amazing. They can be programmed, they're programmable, they're transmitters, they're receivers, they're amplifiers. Programming, I mean, everyone here that's listening to this, in your phone, in your computer, you've got a silicon chip, a memory chip, because it holds the memory, it holds a program. So we can use crystals and program them to do certain things. So they're actually very, very, very valuable tools. Again, I say they're amplifiers and everything. The Preseli blue stones that are, for people that know, Stonehenge, the stones from Wales. We don't really know what Stonehenge does, but are those crystals amplifiers and receivers? The power of the crystals is unknown, really. But back to what Andy was saying about healing, yes, we can use specific crystals. It depends on the size of them, the colour of them, because they all have a different frequency, and the minerals that make up the crystal. Each one will vibrate at a different frequency, and therefore each one can be used for different things. Like we can use amethyst for clearing, transmuting negative energy into positive energy. When we do house clearings as well, we'll always give the house owner a rose quartz crystal to place at the heart of their home, to actually make it loving and warm and a nice feeling when you walk through the door. So there are lots and lots of different ways that we can use the crystals, and I suppose the newer way, in a way, is combining crystals with water. The late Dr. Emoto, don't know if any of you know about him, he found that water picks up memories as well, but if you have intent to water, it will take on that program. So he had the 2 tumblers of water. On one, he actually directed love to it, pure unconditional love, then took a drop of the water, froze it, and a beautiful crystal formed. He did the same with another jug of water and put negative thoughts to it, hatred, despair. Did exactly the same, but found that no crystals formed. It was just brown sludge. So this is showing that the water takes on programming and vibration as well. So if we combine the two, the crystals with water, instead of having to carry around 50 crystals or something at a time, you can create an essence with lots of crystals at once. Now, some people might drink the water. Word of warning, a lot of crystals are toxic. They're arsenic and mercury based, so please don't go throwing your crystals in water and then drink it afterwards. Look them up first and check that they're non-toxic crystals. Also, some crystals are water soluble, such as selenite. So, you know, unless you don't want your crystal for long, don't do it. So there's lots. I mean, I could go on forever, and I do talk forever anyway.
We've got so much covered, and we're almost 25 minutes in, and we've got some questions, and I thought it'd be good to bring up the questions as well, so that you can all answer those questions. So. We have Nicole with us, so welcome, Nicole. Thanks for joining us today. That was just saying it that makes a lot of sense, Pam. All about living strategically, so definitely.
Thank you.
There's another question. Hi all, thanks for the invitation. Would like to ask, how do you go about changing a client's belief system, if you had to, about your work? Is it intuitive or methodological? And I think that's directed at Caroline. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change, if I understand the question, I wouldn't change a client's belief system about my work. But if you're talking about how would I change a client's belief system in a client session, then this is how I would do it. It's actually a combination of both, because I work very, very intuitively in how I pick up stuff from clients anyway. So you start off. What I do is I start off having a discussion with the client to find out what the blocks are for that client, and I use all the experience that I had from my hypnotherapy days, using subpersonality work and just general experience, and then I also do a scan and find out what I'm picking up intuitively in connection with that particular block, and as I then pick up whatever I pick up. We then start doing some simple questioning techniques to find out what the root belief is that is actually running. And once we find that root belief, I'm able to, if I'm using, for instance, the healing based on the theta healing side, then what I do is I go into a theta brainwave state myself, and I basically ask or command that the changes, that the belief is changed, that the existing belief is pulled in a theta brainwave state, because you're accessing all that is in that theta brainwave state, which is the equivalent to the 7th plane of existence spiritually, but it's theta brainwave state on a scientific level, and you're basically pulling the existing belief and replacing it with another belief in the subconscious mind that is more beneficial. It's always with their permission. You never ever change a client's belief without their permission, nor would I do it to anyone out there without their permission either. So and then I witness the change. That's the quantum mechanics part. I witness the change which is taking place in theta brainwave state. So I witness it intuitively, and then I come out of theta brainwave state. It all takes a few seconds, that's all. And then what we do is we muscle test before and after to make sure that that belief has actually changed in the client. Normally by the end of a session, the client will have quite a number of beliefs changed, or certainly a layer of those beliefs changed. Virtually all clients that I've dealt with, they might come in feeling quite stressed. They leave with a different belief system, certainly at a level, and a lot more peaceful and more with their vibrations. So I hope that answers your question there, Usama. I hope so. I hope that's what you were asking.
No, that's fantastic, Caroline. Thanks for sharing that. It seems like it's a mixture of both intuitive work and methodology as well at the same time.
Well, it's largely intuitive, but there is a method to it. But it's like you learn these skills, and then you put your own stamp on it. And you know, I've got 20 years experience of working as a therapist and intuitive, so I've put on all areas of expertise. So I have my own method with these skills, and so it's a bit of a mixture, really. So.
Excellent. So we are actually coming towards the end of the show. I would love to bring up some more comments. If you have any comments at the end of the show, please make sure to post them on Google Plus or on the Facebook page as well, and we will come back and revisit some of those questions. But before we go, I just wanted to ask our guests to tell us where we can find out more information about them. So again, I'll go from the left to the right, and I'll start off with Caroline.
On my website, www.transformationalenergyexpert.com, also on Twitter @quantumhealer1, on Twitter, also on Facebook, Transformational Energy Expert, or Caroline Cousins, either one. I've got a business page on there, and hopefully that's all the information you need.
Excellent. As I said at the beginning as well, we'll post links to all of these, all of the pages within the comments, so that everybody can have a look. So over to Jeni now. Tell us where we can find out more about you.
Okay. Website is www.crystalbalance.co.uk. Also, like Caroline, on Facebook, on Twitter, but it's Crystal Balance on Twitter, and Google Plus, and that's it really. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and it's all been going to Japan now.
www.thenextstep.uk.com, Pam Gregory on Facebook, and on Twitter it's Pam Gregory Astro, and that's it.
Excellent. And with that, I will say, sadly, we have to close. There is so much more we'd love to cover. I'm sure there's so much more that our guests would love to cover as well. But we are going to have to close here. So I'd just like to say thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.